what is artificial intelligence? What is robotics? What are some associated concepts? Artificial intelligence involves computers and machines in general mimicking cognitive or thinking functions associated with human and animal minds. A robot, on the other hand, is a machine with the ability to use these cognitive functions in a way that's situated in the physical world, such that it can sense the environment, make sense of its structure, make sense of the changes in that environment, make decisions with respect to its goals, and act on that environment. One term that we read up about a lot these days is automation, which is the performance of a process or a procedure without human assistance. And usually automation requires little to no artificial intelligence and is set up to perform a very specific task under absolute certainty. Autonomy, on the other hand, involves a high degree of adaptation to unknown situations and decision-making capability. We've been reading a lot about autonomous vehicles and autonomous cars, and they are not automation systems. These systems integrate input from various sources to make decisions about what to do next, where to steer, whether or not to brake or speed up, or whether or not to engage the human driver. Throughout their history, robots and automata have been a fascinating concept from multiple perspectives. From philosophical, metaphysical, epistemological, and theological perspectives, it facilitates reasoning and discourse about what it means to be human, what it means to be alive, and what it means to know. From a scientific perspective, it gives us a platform to study the human body and human mind, as well as those of animals. And from a practical and technological point of view, it inspires ways of augmenting human capabilities. So what do we want robots to do? A common thread among the historical and modern views of robots is that robots and automata will perform dirty, dangerous, and dull work to serve or assist people, like spider collector and venom extractor, high-rise window washer, and incinerating toilet cleaner. In the last 2 decades, however, we've also seen growth in the vision for and development of robots that do jobs that are considered to be uniquely human, or at least traditionally, like teaching, therapy, coaching, and companionship, and to collaborate with humans instead of doing the jobs for them. So we're seeing, and we will be increasingly seeing, both robots that are off doing dirty, dangerous, and dull work for us in sewers, in mines, and in space, and robots that are working alongside with us in art environments and in ways that are collaborative. As robots are being introduced into human environments and as we start interacting with them, what we're observing is that people relate to robots as social entities, not as cold, soulless, mass-produced pieces of machinery. And this is the case even for robots that are designed to do dirty, dangerous, and dull jobs. For example, think about the bomb disposal robots that are deployed with military units. When these robots break and are sent for repair, the soldiers explicitly say that they don't want a replacement for the robot. They want the same robot repaired and sent back. The robot is a part of their unit. They're deployed with the robot. They are emotionally attached to the robot. And in the last decade, I and my students have studied many such robot systems functioning in the real world. And what we've repeatedly seen is that when they are introduced into human environments, functioning in ways that humans function, and interacting with humans to do their work, they are treated as a part of the social environment and as social agents with goals, emotions, and thought. Even though people are consciously aware of them being mass-produced, cold, and soulless pieces of machinery. What we're finding is that even when they're designed to have no soul, no instinct, and no will to live, we attribute these qualities, these human qualities, to robots and expect to see them. Perhaps it's because we see a reflection of ourselves in robots, or perhaps it's the only way in which we know how to relate to other beings. Whatever the reason is, our grand challenge and the challenge of artificial intelligence is realizing the vision for robots while meeting these expectations. And in our work, what we see is that the more we work to achieve this goal, the deeper the problem appears. So with that, I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions and comments.
I've seen a lot of writing about how many jobs will be displaced and how it's going to upheave our society. What potential do you really see for that being the case versus some of the promises that artificial intelligence and robotics offer?
I see this as a very complex topic. I used to be more of an optimist that with the introduction of these technologies, we would see much more benefit, and the benefit would offset the disadvantages or potential disadvantages or displacements that they would cause. I think the more we see them becoming a reality, the more complicated that space gets for me. So I'm no longer the optimist that I used to be. So I think we have to do the difficult work of not only coming up with these technologies, but also really understanding what it means for that technology to be introduced in any environment and how it's going to actually displace that environment.
Do you think that through AI they'd be able to understand emotion or program that in to robots?
Yeah, what you're referring to is generally talked about as general intelligence, so having kind of human-like intelligence. That's sort of what the eventual goal of artificial intelligence research is seen as. But practically, what we actually see is a lot of kind of narrow applications that are specifically designed to their particular job. Right? If you think about an autonomous vehicle, it has many algorithms running on it. One algorithm dedicated to keeping the car, between lanes. One algorithm dedicated to tracking whatever is in front of you. One dedicated to watching, changes in weather. So it's a lot of stuff working together to achieve this very complex task of driving. And if you think about general intelligence, everything that a human mind does, it's a very, very complex space. So one day we might get there, but my general take on this is that not in my lifetime.
Have the researchers given consideration as to how far this can go and just how far we want it to go so that we still maintain some control over the situations?
Again, going back to the general intelligence idea, if you have a robot that has general intelligence, that means that they have absolute intelligence and absolute creativity, and there's no way of stopping that. And that's, I think, one of the whys there, right? So do you want a robot in your home to know everything about you, right? And if it does, who else knows that everything about you, right? And what keeps other people from knowing that? And I think these are very interesting questions. But I think just because the possibility is there doesn't mean that we will actually realize them, right? So even with thinking about general intelligence, thinking about a robot that knows everything, predicts every move you're going to make, even days ahead. Is that really necessary? Is that really what we want? So I believe that technology will reach a point of saturation at which point we say, your intelligence is sufficient, and I don't want you to know more or think any further than that. At least that's what I predict.